Moving on from what's being dubbed Flygate to analysis, let's cross live to Scott Lucas. He's a professor at the University of Birmingham. Scott, thanks so much for joining us this Thursday. As I mentioned earlier, CNN survey immediately after the debate found Harris the decisive winner. Who came out on top for you, Scott?
Well, I think both candidates were solid in comparison with the train wreck of the presidential debate marked by Donald Trump's interruptions of Joe Biden. I think Mike Pence was a much calmer, much more reliable person than Trump. I think Kamala Harris was very solid, indeed very, very effective, especially on issues such as the coronavirus pandemic and healthcare. But I think rather than a simple win, I think it's the political landscape for two reasons that tend to favor the Democrats. The first is that they're so far ahead in the polls after recent days that really all Kamala Harris had to do was make sure she didn't fall over last night. They can afford voters to stay where they are right now and triumph on November the 3rd. And secondly, we now are seeing coronavirus as the defining issue in the American election in its final weeks of campaigning. And the Trump Pence camp did not want that. They wanted Americans to focus on the Supreme Court, to focus on this so-called war against extremists and anarchists, because when you've got 212,000 Americans dead, when you've got 7.5 million cases, it's very hard for those who are in power to say, give us another 4 years.
Now, Scott, we know that historically vice presidential debates have far less impact on the election results than debates between the top candidates. But of course, this time around, the focus had been more intense on both Pence and Harris. Why do you think that is? Is it because of this climate of various crises that the U.S. is going through?
Oh, absolutely. So you've got the crisis atmosphere, but that leads, I think, for two reasons to the focus on this vice presidential debate. The first is kind of a specific, which is we do have two presidential candidates in their 70s. Donald Trump is ill. We don't know how seriously ill, but ill with coronavirus. Joe Biden's in good health, both mentally and physically, but he is 77. So you think, well, if for some reason either Trump or Biden can't carry on, do you have a reliable pair of hands to take over? But secondly, beyond that, I think the defining messages of this campaign are going to be leadership, responsibility, and competence. And precisely because that has been destabilized amidst the pandemic, and then specifically by the events of the last 10 days, the first presidential debate and Trump's illness, that looking at Pence and Harris, you have to say, can we count on, can we trust these to be reliable officials as America faces, again, its most important crisis, I think, since the end of World War II?
Important question. Is that, do you think, a chance that this could be the last debate of the race, given the uncertainty for the time being of Donald Trump's health?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Donald Trump, despite the performance he tried to give Monday night when he insisted on leaving the hospital, is still on a range of medications, including steroids that are only given to those patients who are normally seriously or severely ill. So we don't know what his actual condition is, despite his insistence he will show up for the debate next week. It's going to be a day-to-day, I think, watch to see if the debate goes ahead. And indeed, if there's anything resembling, quote, a normal campaign in these abnormal times from the Trump-Pence side.
Lastly, addressing the debate itself last night, Pence rather subtly echoing Trump, who falsely claimed that, of course, mail-in ballots do encourage fraud. Do you think we do need to, at this stage, brace ourselves if Biden happens to win the final election?
Oh, absolutely. Unless Joe Biden wins by, 8 to 10% in the national polling and by, say, like 400 to 138 in the electoral vote, Donald Trump will immediately move for legal action to declare mail-in ballots fraudulent. Now, they're not. That's disinformation. But he will hope to tie this up for months, taking it to the Supreme Court. And the most disturbing thing last night, Mike Pence not only refused to call out Donald Trump and say this was inappropriate, Mike Pence ended up by supporting Donald Trump by repeating the lie that mail-in ballots are fraudulent. So get ready. If this is a close election, the Trump-Pence camp will try to tie it up for months, and we will be in unprecedented territory.
And of course, we'll be watching them very closely. Scott Lucas, thank you so much for your analysis here on Live from Paris.
Thank you.